one of the nightmares you can never imagine is having a global pandemic that tells you to stay at home, especially if you're an extrovert. But it not only tells you to stay at home, it affects your health, so you kind of have to. And that comes with its own risks, because as a queer presenting person, you constantly feel like you are under surveillance. There are people who are watching you or who are constantly monitoring your moves. There's not really a sense of security as it is. And now imagine being fixed in one place and having to experience that risk continuously.
We're not allowed to go into town, of which don't name a service. Now, even cancelling or whatever. We couldn't get in town just because we're at Zamba. And if you go to the police, which took that Zamba, you couldn't tell them without Zamba you can have a cut.
Takatisina ma savings account most of us. Takatisina mali zatikaseva chinhu chakanguti Juma chakava heavy, especially on our income generating projects.
Most of the LGBTIQ persons, especially women, are really unemployed. So most of them were in the informal sector. In the informal sector, that is really not recognized by the government. It's literally no funds for them. And on top of that, being a minority population technically puts you at a huge disadvantage, because even your own community ostracizes you. And you look at family-wise, it's now a bit of a hassle, because most of them are running away from, homophobic families or toxic families, and they spend their time in safe spaces. But now they're just forced to be in the house, and you have to deal with that on a daily. So mentally and, financially, it's been a huge impact.
So the lockdown has affected me in, I think, in two ways. Firstly, I think in health, because I'm accessing HRT hormones on the black market, and because now people are not coming into town, I can't access my hormones. I think on the first 21 days, I missed my shots because I couldn't access hormones. The second way that I have been affected is now that the beard is coming, and I have a letter. So when I produce my letter, they want to see my ID, and it's no longer matching. So at one point, I was manhandled by soldiers because they were saying I had stolen someone's ID, and I had to humble myself. I paid a bribe to come to work because they were saying I had to report to the police station and explain why I was using an identity card that is not mine, and that is how I have been affected.
LGBTIQ communities usually convene or meet within what are known or have come to be known as safe spaces. So it means these safe spaces are no longer available, they are no longer accessible. So it takes away, I think, the space for social recreation, movement building, interaction, where LGBTIQ communities have often been able to go there to do such things. And then because of the lockdown, it has meant that a lot of them have challenges even in accessing life-sustaining care, healthcare, where obviously you're talking of members maybe that are on ARVs, members that need to constantly replenish their monthly supplies, because this is treatment that is taken every day. That is no longer possible because of travel restrictions, some of them quite stringent, So that really is even, I think, a health component. I'm thinking that the impact of it has taken also a life-threatening dimension.
So now there's been lots of livelihoods, people are not making any income, they are struggling to feed their families, they're struggling to pay rent, and it's just really, and a lot of them actually have a hard time accessing whatever support social welfare is given, because it's done through wards and counsellors, and some people are just even afraid to go to their counsellor and say, I need support, because maybe in the area they live in, they are known to be gay or lesbian or however they identify. So it's been a challenge, and there are very few sustainable ways in which also support can be given.
In a way, I would say it's not all bad, because it gives you time to sit down and reflect on all the mistakes that you have been doing in the past Yes, because I mean you have all this time in your hand, and things that running through your head. You can actually sit down and actually come to terms with some of the things that you are doing wrong. If this coronavirus has to end someday, I think it would be good for some people, especially me, I think, because it has really brought a lot of insight through a lot of mistakes that I have done in the past. I've really got time to reflect, and sometimes maybe somewhat correct those mistakes that I have been making.